Hello and welcome to Politically Incorrect Knitters. My name is Pinkava, joined as always by the lovely Deplorable Knitter.
Hello, everybody.
Sorry.
No, but guess what, guys? It is March 4th, right? It's March 4th. And Anne and I are finally going to exchange our Christmas presents to each other.
Yeah.
We were a little bit behind on that. And
well,
and then I was going to say they were going to be Valentine's presents, but I didn't even have mine out by Valentine's Day either because I totally stunk. So, oops.
A friend of mine and I used to do this where we would do the obnoxiously late Christmas gifts. So it was always Saint Christmas time day, an invented saint who was a foundling. So nobody knew when his birthday was anyways.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that today. So we have Christmas presents we're going to exchange, and we have knitting. Anne and I have both been knitting, and there is so much news. We are going to present it in rapid fire bullet style today because we're going to highlight everything and not really get into depth on much of it. I don't think. So lots happening.
Unless we need to riff on something. But sure, before the news, get some knitting.
We always riff on something. So you want to do knitting first?
Sure.
What do you have?
What do I have? First of all, I finally, if you'll remember the blue and yellow striped sweater, I'm wearing it. It has buttons, it has an edge. It is a for real sweater. I can really wear it. It really has pockets. It's awesome.
Cool. It looks awesome on you.
Yeah, and I'll take a picture so we can put it up so I don't have to totally stand up and everything. But yeah. It's
awesome.
It's kind of weird at the top because this is the problem when you don't, I had a loose sweater pattern that I was working on and it didn't turn into that. That originally it was a paneled sweater, and then I wasn't going to do the panels. I was going to make it a raglan instead because that makes sense. So there's this sort of like weird like increase right here. So it looks like it should be closed. And when I redid the collar, I put a buttonhole in so you can close it, but it doesn't really work. It's gappy and weird. So it's kind of like a decorative buttonhole at this point.
It looks cute the way it is, but I also maintain that you could possibly correct that by blocking.
True. There is a proper, I forget which way I was going, a decrease, increase there. So like it would have to stretch a lot, but I mean.
But at least it might get it a little bit closer, more like a cardigan as opposed to the kind of V that it's got going now. But it looks cute the way it is, so
it works.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yarn is super nice and fluffy. Yeah, which to repeat again, spun it myself, roving from the woolly cabin. So a lot of work for me to be like, oh, thank goodness I'm done. Put this stripy sweater away.
You should be wearing it every day now.
Every single day. Thank goodness it's getting warmer. But yeah, other than that, I've been working on, let's see if I have all my little bits and bobs. Okay. I've been working on, I've been talking, I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but I've had an idea for a Reclaim Party hat. That's Lawrence Fox's party in England. So it's a sort of back and forth between I feel like I should actually like message them and ask permission to use the logo, but B, I don't want to do that unless I have something to show. Like, by the way, I can actually do this and make a good product. I'm not just,
not just some crazy person.
Not just some crazy person from America that has nothing to do with this. But so here is logo number 1.
Nice.
So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And then of being me, so there's just, I made a lot of R's in various sizes and whatever, trying to make sure that I get the little whip right. But yeah,
that's the technical term, the flip.
The flip. It's a little thingy thing.
I see it. That's cool.
So
the
yeah.
Thingy thing on art.
Yeah. And believe me, I am intimately acquainted with how to create R's and P's on knit items. So getting that curve just right is right where it's at.
So you could just be like me and make everything a block, and that also works.
Well, yes.
Just in case you ever wanted to know.
Just in case you wanted to, like,
do something else with your time.
Right. Could be doing anything else right now, but no, I'm just sitting here going like, is this exactly right? I'm not sure. But anyways, so yeah, so I've been working on that, and we'll hopefully get a defined product and stuff, because also fun fact with the Reclaim Party logo is that it is, I'm going to get her name wrong, but the person who did the logo is Julia Fulgra, I believe is how her name is pronounced. And she also did the illustrations for Jordan Peterson's new book, Beyond Order. So that's cool.
Cool. I have not heard of her, but that's cool.
Yeah. So, has a good graphic design catalog, and she does music. So she's quite interesting. She's on Instagram. But anyways, so yeah, I've been working on that, still doing the little scrappy garter stitch blanket. But yeah, that's what I've been knitting. How about you?
Well, so last week we taped super late at night, right? It was like, we didn't get off until almost midnight my time. And I didn't have this to show, but on on Saturday, I released a new pattern. It would be this one that I'm wearing. It's hard to read on my head, but it says Save America. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my tech editor, who is fabulous, and she's just a trip. I get on the phone with her and we talk for like 3 hours about nothing particular. But out of our last conversation, we were talking about how President Trump had sent a letter endorsing someone, I don't remember who, for Congress or some sort of position. And the letterhead looked like his Trump-Pence letterhead, but it said Save America. And so then that conversation turned into I guess I can produce a hat between now and tomorrow, and send it out and release it. So guys, if you are interested, Save America hat. I will also insert a picture so that you can see it better. But that's available in my Galilee Life shop. The pattern for it is available in the Galilee Life shop. And I am also finishing an order.
Wait, just to pause before, for the Save America hat, it was one of those designs that I'm like, dang it, I'm jealous. Why didn't I throw that out there? You're just like, oh yeah, it's just a Save America hat. Like,
it's just one of those things that happens. Well, yeah, it's not anything. And I was kind of like, why didn't I do this like a month ago? Like, what was I thinking? But timing's everything.
Yeah.
And so I was having that conversation with her, and she said, I think this would be cool. And I'm like, you're right, that would be cool. And then it turned into a pattern.
Yep.
But here's my little happy fox stitch marker from the Shepherd's Hook. I think I've showed them to you guys before, but she makes hand-beaded progress keepers, and they're super cute. And I like to have it because it makes me happy when I get around my rows. Mm-hmm. But this hat, I'll tell you guys who it's for because I just put it on Instagram. This hat is for Kathy Karen. Kathy was a guest on our show. She is a prolific knitter. She's an author. She is amazingly talented. And so what happened with this is that I had like knitter's block, and I actually didn't even start it. My mom started it, and then she's been having trouble with her shoulders. So the color work was a little needing help. So then I took it over and redid the color work. But there's something about sending a hand knitted piece to someone that you admire and look up to that is somewhat daunting. And so I hope she likes it. She said she didn't mind on Instagram. She said she didn't mind that it's taken so long, which is also wonderful because seriously, like I was really having trouble like picking up the yarn to do this, even though it wouldn't have taken me long. I don't know why I was so worried about it, but now it's almost done. It'll go out to her hopefully Saturday. But and then I just wanted to point out my new shirt says "Kiss Me, I'm Deplorable." Chicken Lady sent me a link to one of these shirts and said, "I think you need it," and I happened to agree, so I did purchase one. But since it's March, I'm probably going to wear this every episode, and just so you guys all know now, gonna take advantage of it. And then I have been waiting for this bag for almost 4 weeks, I think. Something happened with the mail. The thing mail. But this is from Joy and the Stitches, and she's not selling these anymore. I got them before she got rid of them. But look at how fabulous this is. I'm not even like a quilty person, but I don't know the colors and stuff on this. Just love them. And on the side, stripey, and it's got your pocket. Ooh. And it's like super pretty inside. You see it? And yeah, so that came today, and I've seriously been stalking my post office. Like every single time I drive by my post office, I would go in just in case it was there, because I've been waiting for it. I have to say, pretty happy. So now I've got my new project bags, and I can pack for my Florida trip, because we all know that these are the most important things I'm going to pack while I'm gone, even though it's only like 4 days. But so now I can get ready for Florida, and I'm excited about that. And I've got the other pattern I'm still working on, but it's just going to be a while, I think. It's Mitz and we're not best friends. I'm working on it. I hope to be better acquainted with them soon, but we'll have to see. But that's what's happening here. I'm hopeful that by the time we're done talking here, I will be well into the decreasing on this hat, and then I'll have no excuse not to finish it this afternoon. So that's everything here.
That's a little daunting though. Be like, oh man, Kathy, she's gonna turn it inside out. You know she will.
Well, of course she is. And you know what though? You and I would do it too. So
right. Be like,
I think my inside's pretty nice, don't you? I mean,
so.
It's looking pretty even, and
yeah.
So I'm excited to open our boxes.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Do you want to go first or shall I?
Ooh, are we doing that before the news or after the news? You're like before.
Wait until news is done.
You want to go first though?
No, you go. I'm excited about yours. I mean, I'm excited about mine too, but I'm excited for you to open yours.
I should have like split open the box.
I totally already did that. You should have seen it. My kids have been like, Mom, why is this box sitting here? Why won't you open it? I'm like, because I haven't sent Anne hers yet. I cannot open it.
Right.
But they were like dying, and they're going to be mad I opened it. They're not home.
So
that's okay.
I did that for, well, both this box is like, why aren't you opening it right away? I'm like, no, I have to wait. But also with the gift exchange with the package I got from Bone, like, here's your package. Why haven't you opened it? I'm like, I have to wait.
Yeah, they also were not impressed with me not opening that one either from the gift exchange. They thought that should have been opened immediately, if not sooner.
Right. Wow.
Right.
So the first thing I see is this.
I thought you'd like it.
That is hilarious. That is.
And you're always got like 7,000 notebooks, so I figured you could always use one more.
Exactly.
Another one to flip through when you're trying to figure out what you did with something.
Right. Another one to be like, oh, which notebook did I put that in? It's like, well, why don't you have dedicated notebooks for things? Well,
that could be for your British stuff.
Specific British news notebook. But hey, thank you. I will use that. I'll sit and pile of notebooks forever and be supreme. Ooh. Sorry. This is lovely. And I see that you've got one of those little progress keepers for that. 1 second. Focus. There we go.
Yes. So that yarn, Anne,
yes,
was dyed by myself and my children.
Wow.
And we attempted to make it self-striping. I don't think we made our stripes big enough, but it should stripe a little, I think. They might be skinny stripes. I hope. That was the intent, was that it would stripe.
Right.
But it was our first time trying, so there's no guarantee about anything.
Well, thank you. I will do something exciting. I'm not sure. But yeah, that is really beautiful with all the purples and blues. And
yeah, I tried to keep it in your, they made some really crazy suggestions. And I'm like, well, let's think about Anne. Does she like that color?
Right.
You know, so it's not neon green or anything.
Right. Not like, whoa. That is nice. Nice and springy too. And perfect for what is it called? Sock Madness, that event that's in Yarn is doing.
Sock Sanity?
Sock Sanity, that's it.
Yes. Are you part of it?
I'm not part of it, unfortunately. I know.
Yeah, that's something I forgot to mention that I joined, but we can talk about that.
No, that's okay. I know that you said you were casting on socks, even though you have sworn to hate socks forever.
I don't know. The event sounded so fun. I couldn't help it. Mm-hmm. But I think that my mom and I might go to Hobby Lobby tomorrow, and I might do something other than that brown sock yarn I have, which would make me feel happier about the whole thing. Right. But not to make this about me.
Okay. Socks will get you.
I doubt it.
I'll put that right there.
You're going to put that on display?
Yeah. Okay. And coffee, most important.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
And I didn't know if you liked flavor, but you'll have to suck it up and deal.
No, I am pro hazelnut. So.
Oh, good.
Right. I am not against it. I'm for it.
Yeah.
Artemis Legend Select. That's interesting. Have you talked about this brand before specifically?
Yeah, so Scotty P is the guy who played Luke on Gilmore Girls, and now he sells his own coffee.
There you go.
I may have purchased a giant box of his coffees at Christmas time and given them to many people in my life because I like them so much. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm not opposed to coffee, so.
I know. That's one thing we have in common.
Oh. Set Mr. Scotty P over. Let's see. I should have been proper and looked as if looked for a note already. There is no note.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't put a note in there. It's me. Hi, it's from me.
Like, this is from Anne. Like, yes.
It's from me. I was still like getting it out. Right, it didn't matter.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome. Sorry. It is a glittery Harry Potter mug.
Yes, and Anne's always drinking out of these silly tiny mugs, and I needed to get her one that had, could actually hold a decent cup of coffee.
Right, so. And part of that is that, foolish girl, I do, I have the 2 mugs that are of reasonable size, and then the rest of them are just small, and I don't do dishes enough for keeping rotation.
I understand that too.
Mm-hmm. But thank you. It's lovely.
You're welcome.
Very nice of you. Thank you. All my Harry Potter nerddom.
I'm glad you like it. So yeah, our box was so late because the yarn dyeing took days.
Mm-hmm.
Took days because I told my kids they had to help me, and
right.
I probably should have just done it on my own.
They're no, this has to be a team effort.
Well, I thought you would like it if they helped me.
Yeah.
She gets to admire my children sometimes when we're not recording and talk to them and things, and it's life.
Exactly. You have pretty cute kids, just saying.
I know, but thanks.
Right?
Of course.
Well, yes, but it's good coming from you too.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Let me put my
Open
name
your
down.
mouth.
I didn't think when I picked it back up. Okay. Mine's already open. I didn't look. It's just already open.
Right.
I'm dropping things. Rush Revere. Something I've been wanting to read with the kids.
Exactly.
We tried the audiobook, and as much as I love Rush Limbaugh, gosh, he was boring as a child's book narrator. It just wasn't like, oh, let's listen to this. You're like, all right, does anybody want to hear this?
And pictures help.
Yes, there's all kinds of different pictures in here. These are really nice books. Like, look at that. Yeah. Rush Revere playing football with a lion, because I don't know what's happening there, but I'm sure the book will tell us. And that's fun. And then we've got Sting.
See, proves that this was supposed to be a Christmas box, because that is one of my favorite Christmas albums. Like,
okay.
I'm not normally when a pop star kind of puts out a Christmas album, you're like, okay. But that one I think is sincerely good. So
cool. I'll have to listen to it, because honestly, I don't know if I would know a Sting song if I fell on one.
What? Again, I say what?
I listen to a lot of Dave Matthews, and I listen to a lot of country. And maybe if I knew like which one was, that's cool. I'll listen to it. We need new car music.
Yeah. And also what I like about that one is that it's not just like a Christmas album. Like it's a lot of Christmas albums. You're like, all right, you have White Christmas, and you have Santa Claus is coming to town or whatever. And you're like, okay, after the 26th, Christmas music is over. And that one is very, I don't know. I think it kind of lasts
like seasonal.
Around.
Yeah.
If there's snow on the ground, it still works.
There's not a Christmas song on here that I recognize. So it might have the word Christmas in it, but yeah, that's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a lot of very traditional, very medieval sort of things. So yeah, it's cool.
Ooh. Rush Revere and the Brave Pilgrims, another one. Mm-hmm. So we I think this is gonna go way better than the audiobook. Seriously, guys, try to imagine Rush Limbaugh narrated a children's book. Mm-hmm. Like seriously, it was like kind of monotone. Like I said, it wasn't the best work.
I know, maybe for slightly older kids.
Yeah, I think it is geared towards kids that are like 4th, 6th grade. Mine are kindergarten and first, so it's a little difference. We got a freedom roast.
We need a lot of freedom.
Black Rifle Coffee. That's cool. Thank you. And see, that's nice too, because my husband hates the flavored coffees that I love. So that's like a chill one, and he will also appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Pretzels. That's home style pretzels. Is that a South Dakota thing, or is it just a random?
No, it is a specific, I don't know.
Oh, North Dakota, it says.
Right. It's okay. Only a regional thing, and those are like the best. Like they're like seasoned a particular way.
It's like what?
They're seasoned a particular way, so those are
cool. So this is something that I should open not with my kids, so that I can eat them myself.
Pretty much.
Okay, good to know. And then something smells good in here. This candle that looks like a muffin. It is honey bourbon. A super scented candle. It smells really good. Yeah. Like the whole box smells good now. cool.
Wafted in perfumes throughout.
So that was so fun. I'm so happy. Thank you. Love it. So
now we have all sorts of toys to play with.
I know, right? And since my kids have hated our history curriculum, I also have some something else to try. Because, if they hate it, then I hate it because it's just painful.
Right.
So cool. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you.
Oh, you are welcome.
Happy St. Christmas.
You and I are too weird. Happy St. Christmas. Oh, you're too funny. So now that we've done all the happiness and joy.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Real life.
Depression.
I want to say something though. I was watching, so last night I was listening to I'm Brett Cooper and Browning.USA. They're both on Instagram. Brett Cooper is, she's an actor and she's a political person. She's worked with PragerU, and Browning USA works with Turning Point. And so they were on a live, and I actually very rarely listen to people's lives. Like, I just generally don't have time, but for some reason I decided to turn theirs on. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions they got was, how can you guys be so happy when things are so bad? And I just, Anne and I have had like lots of fun, and you gotta, that's what they were saying last night. You've got to be happy. You've got to, politics suck and things that are happening in the world suck. But if that's all you can think about, then you're going to be miserable, just like the other side that we're not big fans of. So,
right. And
just a random little thought about happiness. And
I think Ted Cruz pointed that out in his CPAC speech too, that, we just lost Rush Limbaugh, but that he always, it's not as if he didn't take news seriously, but he wasn't like over serious. He wasn't like reverend. It wasn't, that this is something that could never be laughed at ever. And the importance of having fun and telling jokes and, lightening the mood.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but when I turn on the news, I kind of feel nauseous. Like, stuff is kind of like, I don't remember who I was talking to, but it's like you turn on the TV and it's almost like the past 4 years didn't happen. We're back exactly where we were. And it's like horrifyingly sad and discouraging. And I don't know. So I just thought that was a good little thing to point out, that it's good to have fun and things to look forward to. And dude, when I get off of this, I'm going to go light my new candle kind of deal, because that kind of thing makes me happy. And you've got to have stuff that is happy, because if you take the news and that's all you see and do, and you're going to be miserable. And there's a lot more to life, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like it.
Right.
So there's my soapbox, sorry. Because now we're going to talk about the fact that they're canceling Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head.
Right. Well, they waffled a bit on Mr. Potato Head, not to make another joke. But they're like,
no, terrible joke.
I know. So Mr. Potato Head is now just Potato Head, which sounds like a straight up insult. I wouldn't want to be called Potato Head. Would you want to be called Potato Head?
But he's not Potato Head.
Right.
They went back to Mr. already.
Right.
But yeah, that was the intent, that they were going to make Mr. Potato Head genderless.
Mm-hmm.
So makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I spend a long time worrying about the gender of a plastic potato. So
that's right.
I'm glad that they're dealing with these important issues.
Yes. I especially don't want to know the process of finding out the gender of a plastic potato, personally.
Because funnily enough, if you take off all of the Mr. Potato Head pieces and you put on the Mrs. Potato Head ones, then guess what it is? That's Mrs. Potato Head. It doesn't matter. Go figure. Okay, anyway.
It was already an inclusive toy. You could mix and match just perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be whatever you want to be, and you didn't even have to publicize it.
Go figure. So yeah, Mr. Potato Head went from being a Mr. to a Mrs. to a potato and back, and so I guess they've
gender potato friend.
Gender. Exactly. So
man, now they're gonna change your pet rock to see what gender or non-gender it is. And you'll be like, dang, it's just a rock. And
but
these non-gender people over-gendering everything.
I don't understand what the deal is. Mm-hmm. I just don't understand. But hey, like I said, who the heck am I? I don't know anything. Oh, my yarn fell all the way down on the ground. Oh well, it's lost forever now. So that happened, and then people are being very careful to say nobody is canceling Dr. Seuss. They're just canceling some of his earlier works because they are racist. Mm-hmm. So there are 6 books that are no longer going to be sold anymore. And if you guys happen to own a copy and it's in decent shape, I would put it up on eBay because you can make a ton of money and not have to go to work. So you got that going for you.
Yeah, a friend of mine put out, that, oh, by the way, I've always loved, was it, Do You Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street? Is that the title? And she's like, I've always loved this book. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll pick up a copy sometime, and then never did. And then this comes around like, oh no.
And now you can't.
Right.
And you're lost forever. You will never get another copy of it.
Well, I mean, it's at the top of the charts on Amazon. So if
okay, so I went to look, and they were like $900 on Amazon.
Right.
And I love my kids and I love reading to my kids, but I will not spend $900 on a book that they will, use to make a pyramid out of.
Right. Right.
Obviously, I wouldn't let them play with a $900 book, but
well, surely people of good sense will print more, but people are dumb, Ray. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. So Mulberry Street and
for daring to depict people who happen to be Chinese.
Well, I guess that he. Oh, but I just did an internet search to find the other titles, and it came up with ads, and there's a couple of Dr. Seuss's beginner books. And then the third thing is If You Give a Pig the White House, and it's a pig that looks like President Trump. But that's still okay.
Yeah,
that's the part that gets me.
I know. It's like you don't it's the complete obliviousness to your own bigotry, basically. It's okay to call one side pigs, but if you call the other side even something slightly stereotypical, like if something barely or something just a little stereotypical is mentioned the slightest bit, then that's it, you're done. But over here, it's like I straight up called you a pig throughout the entire book. And then I thought it was funny the whole time. It's like, well, that's okay.
Yep. So Dr. Seuss Enterprises are going to stop publishing 6 of his books. One is And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street, and If I Ran the Zoo, because they portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong. They've been criticized for how they depict Asian and Black people. So, they're also going to
criticize for how they depict birds.
I know, right? People who love birds should totally speak out against this.
Exactly. Specifically, remember a lion with a bizarrely long tail in the Sleep book. Lions rights activists, get on that.
They're also going to shelve McElligot's Pool, On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Eggs Super, and The Cat's Quizzer. it was made in an effort to support all children and families with messages of hope, inspiration, inclusion, and friendship. And I just want to say, and to think I saw it on Mulberry Street was published in 1937.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps he did portray people in a way that we look at now and don't agree with. But do you remember a couple of years ago when everybody was coming out against the 80s stars who like, oh, so-and-so sexually harassed me or whatever, and like all of these allegations were coming out against actors and different things? My mom and I talked about it because my parents are pretty young. They had us when they were teenagers. So in the 80s, they were like 20, you know what I mean? So
right.
They were, my mom was like, dude, the 80s was a totally different time than now. People totally acted differently and did things that would be unacceptable right now. But you can't
great men wore lip gloss, for crying out loud.
But not even that. I mean, if you watch movies or TV or listen to the music, there's a portion of it that was kind of misogynistic and kind of like men were like, oh, hey, baby, you know, like,
right.
But if you look at, that was 40 years ago. So you look at it now and yeah, according to our standards, that's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you can't judge, like you can't go back in time and like say to these people, oh, you shouldn't have spoken to her that way. Well, in the 80s, everybody spoke to her that way. Like, not that it's okay now, but you can't change that. As
right.
Culture changes, things change. You can't go back to 1937 and be like Dr. Seuss.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you portrayed those Asian people is not acceptable. It was 1937 back then. That's kind of like how things were. Not that I'm being flip about it. It's just, you know, you can go back in time and yeah, we know slavery was wrong, but that's what was happening.
Right. And the idea, which is totally foreign to some people, about the differences, you know, you have culture and you have like place culture, you have different cultures around the world, but you also have time cultures. Like some words we use now would definitely not have been used in the past, and some words that are used freely in the past wouldn't be used now. And I'm not even talking about like insults.
Like slurs and stuff.
Yeah, not even
You're
that.
Just talking about
just like common everyday words, and then later in time it means something different, and you're reading this like, oh wow, what are you saying? No, it was totally in its original context.
I mean, like here's an example. A fag. It's a bundle of sticks.
Mm-hmm.
If you said it back in the
depending.
If you said it in the 40s, it's not, you know. Right. But now you say that and it's totally inappropriate.
Right.
But anyway.
Right. No, that stuff like that it depends on, you know, your time and your place, but it's like wipe away all cultural understanding, you know, wipe away all of that. We're just like pinned to this eternal presence where you can't, and you need those different cultures and different, if you know more about history and you can sort of stretch your mind to see how people may have thought in different times, that helps you to sort of refresh your mind to then look at your own time and try to see, it's easier to see things that you may have missed about your own culture then, that you need that. You need to sort of have that mental exercise, that mental freshening up in order to look at your own time. That, you know, right now, to say that we're complaining about Dr. Seuss for having, you know, stereotypical depictions of Chinese, and then Joe Biden is walking out saying that he's not going to stop Chairman Xi from whatever he does to the Uyghur population because that's cultural differences. Oh, buddy, one is a cultural difference and one is straight up murder. And that I say is something that we should pay more attention to. That is the outrage. The outrage isn't cartoons of mostly animals.
Right. And there's a couple of depictions of people in there that we don't find acceptable now. But why does it have to stop publishing the whole book? They couldn't substitute some other illustration?
Well, personally, I wouldn't do that either, because I think that's a more insidious form of censorship. But still, it's all censorship. It's a problem.
Right. Well, I'm just throwing things out there. Like,
right.
There's no other way you could correct it to make it still okay. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But, you know, and then they were going against Dr. Seuss, saying that he performed in a minstrel show that he wrote, and he would wear blackface. Well, back in the day, people wore blackface. In the 30s and 40s, it was not considered, it was not viewed the same way it's viewed now. Mm-hmm. And so to go and 100 years later be judging this guy about it, this stuff doesn't make sense. And I think that they do this so that you don't notice other things. We're busy talking about Dr. Seuss because they're, you know, fighting and saying, oh, it's okay that they're doing that to the Uyghurs. And,
yeah, it's, you know, yes, canceling Dr. Seuss is stupid and shocking, but at the same time, they passed a bill saying that universal mail-in voting is the hot stuff. Wow. let's take some rights away.
They do that though. That's what they do. They we're gonna put this thing out there and distract you from all these other things that are happening. And in New York, a fabulous example of it would be all of the Como sexual abuse allegations. How much have you heard about the nursing home since that started?
Oh yeah.
So I get it. Sexual abuse is bad, but I'm thinking that this is a way that they're going to make him and the nursing home thing go away without ever really addressing it.
Right.
Which, you know, they might get him to resign over it or whatever, although he seems pretty stubborn and he probably won't resign. But there's such a outcry against it now that nobody's talking about the nursing home mismanagement at all. Right. And I think that there's
no degree of, all right, you know, harassing women in your office is bad, but implementing policies in which people die, bit worse. Little, not, you need the degrees there, not just well, everything's horrible. Well, yes, this is also bad, but first, let's address the dead people.
Exactly. It's it's all bad, but the fact that, you know, 50% more people died than they reported is something that needs to be looked into, even though he also has these other things happening.
Right.
But hey, who am I?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm just some chick that knits, whatever.
You know.
And then what else was on our list, Dan? So many things happened. We needed a big old list this week.
We had a big old list. Oh, our dear vice president, who said she too worked at McDonald's and she did the ice cream and the fries and sort of this bizarre accent she doesn't have. Well, she deemed to visit a yarn store, so some knitting news, called Fiber Space. It's in Virginia, in Alexandria, Virginia. And, you know, she went there and she talked to the people. And then she said that because of all of this, we need to pass the American Rescue Plan, which is $1.9 trillion. 9% of that actually goes to help Americans. That's right, Kamala. You yarn store it up. You're such a woman of the people.
What does the yarn store have to do with the package? Just what's the connection? Because it's a small business?
Because it's a small business. We need to help small businesses like these.
Well, but yeah, none of the money goes, 9%. 9% of $1.9 trillion goes to the Americans. So how is that going to help that business specifically, Kamala?
Well, you know, throw a couple crumbs and slush fund the rest. We need it now to help these people. 9% though. And will it be like with the previous bill was so large that they never actually printed a copy? So are you
So who knows what's actually in that thing?
Right. Like there's a thing there, but it's like I think a hard copy of bills is a little important. I mean, save the trees and all, but if this is official enough, you should probably print one copy.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
I have an idea of what's in it.
But take a chapter, pass it to an intern, next chapter to the next, so somebody reads it.
Yeah. No, but this is like the Cuomo thing, kind of like, oh, let's not talk about that. Let's look at this little yarn shop. And all I've seen on my alt account are people passing those pictures around. People like, oh, look, Kamala came. Oh, look, she said she crocheted a blanket. Should we bring back the colorway she used? And this is what we're worried about? Seriously? What the heck? I just don't understand it.
This is the most important thing that we could possibly be doing right now.
Oh, and on a side note, her stepdaughter, is it her stepdaughter that is the designer?
I believe so.
So that stepdaughter has like been getting all kinds of like press and stuff, and they're yay gung-ho about Kamala's stepdaughter, when nobody would even cover Ivanka Trump, who is one of the most beautiful women in the country, who is also a designer, and also she wasn't alt enough for him.
I know, there she was, running her own company, going around talking about American-made goods and small business loans to women, and all of these important things, talking about paid family leave and, families and jobs and
being a mother and wife and all terrible, terrible things she was pushing.
Oh
my gosh. I don't know. Half the time I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Like I've just wandered into this alternate reality where like not anything makes sense.
I know. I still can't get over that huge thing that they had on Kamala that, oh wow, she wears Converse sneakers like she's some quirky and relatable nerd girl. It's like, she's like Juan Perón taking off the jacket to prove that she's one of the people. I too occasionally don sneakers. Oh, you're so cool, Kamala. You're really one of us. So throw anyone in jail on trumped up charges lately. I know how you love that.
Keep them in there to get more labor out of them. Yeah. It's no big deal. Whatever.
You throw any parents in jail for their children's truancy? You giggled about that one. I think you think that's a good joke.
It would be like, I don't know. It's one of those, if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry because it's so sad. I just don't get the hero worship that they get though.
I know, and it's a hero worship that is totally separated from her. Like, she's a jerk. And sure, if you want to be like, oh, well, she's the first woman of color who's a vice president, and like, that doesn't stop her from being a jerk. Like you're only
sure?
You're saying that the only positive thing about her is that she, her outward appearance, and I think that's pretty crazy. And a lot of people, even before the election, liberal people were saying that they didn't like her. Well, we can still hero worship her, I guess.
Well, I mean, she obviously was not a favorite because she dropped out before anything happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's wild.
And I don't know anything. It's all so terrible. Oh, I got a new one.
Oh, yes.
Robin DiAngelo.
Oh, yes.
Our friend, okay, not our friends, neither of us have ever met her, but there's this woman, Robin DiAngelo, who wrote White Fragility, right?
Right.
And that was like last year, a year and a half ago, when everything was going on in the knitting community and everything. That was one of the lauded texts that everybody should read, and we should all, understand our inherent white privilege and our internalized racism. And people were lauding her, and all of a sudden they seem to have realized that she is white.
Well, yes.
I don't know why.
Not even like she's some other people who like try to look more not white. Like, no, she's straight up white.
No.
Also, she reading excerpts of that is one of the most racist books. And it's projecting much, Robin.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. And then she's like, well, all white people are like this. Really, they're not, Robin. You have a problem. Maybe you should seek some help and like not write a book about it. Like write a letter to your therapist, maybe. You don't need to publish this.
Right. And this thing against this woman has come out because she wrote a new thing called Nice Racism. And people are flipping their lids going, you shouldn't read this book. It is terrible. She is awful, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you want to read a book that is about how you can, you know, that makes you feel good about your racism, then you should read it, but you shouldn't give her any money. You should give your money to Black and brown people who are doing this work. And I don't know. I guess this is just an example of how the mob will come after you, whether or not you're woke enough. You might survive for a while, but then they're going to find something new that they're going to decide isn't okay that you're doing, and then you're in trouble.
Right.
But it just goes to show that you can be the golden child one moment, and then, they're going to decide you're also racist.
Well, I'm sure Robin can cry her way to the bank, not to be unsympathetic.
Oh, yeah.
She has made quite a lot from that book.
She's made millions of dollars. At this point, it doesn't matter if they cancel her because she's set. Her and her family are set. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But I just find it funny that, I mean, don't you remember what? It was like a year and a half ago when everything happened in the knitting community that now she was a little golden child and now she's hanging out with the rest of us. Oh,
I don't think she's hanging out with the rest of us. They'll just insult her and she'll come back with book number 3.
And enough people will buy book number 2 that it won't matter either. Enough people who are not properly woke and don't realize that they shouldn't be reading her stuff.
Yes, but they're not doing the up to the minutes, you know, weather of woke report or their what's in, what's out. Oh, you're wearing yesterday's shoes.
Right. How can you even keep up though? I mean, I follow a lot of this stuff just to watch the nonsense unfurl. I don't do it because I wanna. Sometimes I need a little levity in my life. What else do we have on our good old list?
Well, we can always end with a bang. With the Chinese anal swabs.
I didn't know what that was, honestly. I had heard it on and off, and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was people just being ridiculous and whatever. But apparently, in China, one of the ways to test for COVID is through an anal swab.
Which they administered, let's say, to the American diplomats. And the American diplomats weren't very happy about this. And the Chinese were like, oh no, man, you gotta.
But then they came out saying, oh, they shouldn't have gotten that.
Oh, mistake.
It was an accident that we did that to you. How is that an accident?
Like, well, I mean, it could happen to anyone to mistake one's nose for one's rear. Like, oh. But
so,
and then the Japanese diplomats put out this notice of like, you know, please do not anal swab our diplomats. You know, it creates all sorts of psychological harm. And then the Chinese went, oh, but we only put it like 3 centimeters up there and give it a little twist. Like, oh. And, you know, I am certainly not a Japanese imperialist, but can you imagine World War II Japan? And it's like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna let the Chinese. No. Like, just again, not for Japanese imperialism. They did some bad crap. But among that, they wouldn't have allowed the Chinese to stick anything up their rear. Like maybe just the tiniest bit of self-respect could have, for America too, but would have helped that situation.
when I started looking into it, because like I said, I thought it was a joke. I had seen a couple of things about it, and I honestly thought that people were just saying stupid stuff, and I ignored it. So when I went and looked for it, they're saying, okay, so there's a couple of reports that say that it can actually show cases of COVID where a nose or a mouth swab do not. But a lot of them are saying that it doesn't show any better than any other swab. So who has decided that this is the way to go?
Oh,
like,
China.
But what?
When this first came out in China, like, can you just imagine them sitting there like, we put out that lockdowns were a good idea. Wait, hang on. We said this, and then the idiots did it. And then, wait, hang on. We said that you had to do the mask thing, and then they did it. And then we said that like herd immunity, you know, like the actual herd immunity when people get the disease, not the one when you're vaccinated. Then we said that herd immunity doesn't work and we got to lock down. And then after that, we said that it wasn't even a Chinese virus at all. We said it came from Italy. And then after that, and then we said it was from America, and then we said it was from like 6 different places. It doesn't matter. You know, China is also in the eternal present. You have to know exactly what they say the story is today. And then after about the time where like the Great Barrington Declaration, is that what that's called? That all of this other stuff and all of these, you know, the scientists that people aren't listening to, the ones that are being shut up by everyone, that they're saying that actually a lot of our COVID measures are just exacerbating the problem, all of those people. And by the time that people should think that, hey, there's some issues here, now we're going to say, nope, the only reliable way to do COVID is to stick it right up there and see how that works. And these stupid Westerners, they're going to do it. And it's going to be hilarious. Oh, it's going to be such a good time.
That's probably how it went down. But now we have senile Joe in office. And so I wouldn't even be surprised if all of a sudden it's a thing. Because
that sweet, sweet Chinese money, it just keeps coming. So who cares if, you know, Uyghurs are organ harvested, or if your ambassadors are humiliated, you're still getting your cash.
Whatever.
Hunter's still getting all of his business deals and book deals, and probably still doesn't have to pay child support. So that's, who cares?
So circle back, Jen was asked about what, you know, when Hunter was going to distance himself from the China dealings, and she said that they were working on it. Could you imagine if the Trumps had been in China ever?
Right.
Could you imagine how many people's heads would just be exploding?
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't have been acceptable to be, oh, you know, working on getting out of there.
Oh, yeah.
I actually think that the Trumps may have had something going on with, or maybe it wasn't China, maybe it was Russia, but there was, you know, they had been looking into a building at some place in one of those countries.
That was in China, that they had opened a single Chinese bank account, or
and it was a big deal,
right? And they thought about a hotel there.
Yeah, no, just love it. And you're right, I didn't even think about that, but with the sweet, sweet cash, we're gonna have really severe issues. Yeah. So I will never be leaving my house again. If that's the case, that's how they're going to determine what's going on from now on. I'm going to be that what's his name that wore the Kleenex boxes on his feet? Howard Hughes.
Oh yeah.
Is that who it was? Who didn't leave his house and was like totally a weirdo. That's gonna be me. Yeah. Anyway,
it's a rough thing. And one of the interesting things with CPAC is that, and this is something that Mark Stein pointed out, so not an original thought with me, but that if we could have like a keynote speech about the Chinese, that would be great. Trump mentioned it, and then his speech was naturally banned from YouTube after YouTube got all the nice ad revenue. And so you also can't go back now and check and see what he said, so you can lie about it. That's easy. But we also, you know, that the majority of the keynote speakers would say something, but not a lot about the Chinese. Some of the stuff during the day was about the Chinese. It's like, no, this is a serious issue. Again, serious human rights violations, serious censorship, all of these things. And, you know, that the slow encroachment of everything in our world, that they're vying for world power status. And we're sitting here with Joe, who talks about masks all day and can't even wear them himself correctly. We have some really real issues, but not that the CPAC keynoters were, you know, totally ignoring that. But
yeah. But it's amazing how many people don't want to say anything about it. Mm-hmm. Makes you wonder.
Yep.
But hey, once again, who am I?
Well, optimistically, and a lot of people say this should have happened sooner, but optimistically, we now have Texas and Missouri, and I believe, is it Alabama or Arkansas, who say that they are going to quit their mask mandates.
I only heard of the first two. I didn't hear of the other one.
Right. I mean, it's only been a year, people. Maybe you should have thought of this. Well, a lot of people say they should have done this 12 months ago, but at least 6.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wish people had done it before Biden had gotten in office. Right. Wish that we hadn't let the fear overrule us, you know, for as long as it has.
Right. And I mean, we have the local problem too of woohoo, we're in South Dakota. We never had a mask mandate. It's a world of wonder. But there's still the local city councils will do that and then say that people are whiny about the mask mandate. I'm like, you're just losing the plot, buddy.
I don't know. I mean, I've been in the state that's been severely locked down for as long as they could be, and so it's hard to I don't know, it's hard to even imagine going back to normal just because it's been so long. I don't know anything is what the answer is. That's what I know. But I don't know. I think we covered plenty of things today, Anne. What do you think?
I think we did. I think we have a wide range of topics. Some actual knitting for our knitting show.
I know. It's amazing. Cool. And see, I told you this hat was going to be just about done by the time this was over. So
yeah,
I didn't even lie for once. Thank goodness.
I'd hate for you to be a liar.
Yeah. And I got to say, I'm really proud of you for getting that sweater done, because when I mentioned it last week, you laughed at me. And now it's done, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I really sat myself down and got if only the Hong Kong scarf could go as quickly, because I was told that I had better get the scarf finished before it becomes a memorial scarf only, which I get it. Yeah, yikes.
I'll work on getting that Intarsha video up for you.
That would be nice. Not that it's just a you thing, it's mostly a me thing.
Oh, I know, because if you were ready, you would mention it to me. But,
you know.
Still. Anyway, so guys, thanks for joining us. We will see you again next week, and I'm sure there will be plenty more to talk about.
Oh, yes.
All right, have a good one.
All right, bye, guys.